Go ahead.
All right. 7. Knowledge of the Absolute. Text 1. Sri Bhagavadan Yuvaka Mai Askata Manya Pata Yogam Junjan Mad Ashraya Ashamam Sanagram Man Yata Nasazi Tagrum. Now hear, O son of Pritha Aruna, how the practicing yoga is in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me. You can now know me in full, free from doubt. In this 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, in the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul, which is capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of the 6th chapter, it is clearly stated that steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. But concentrating one's mind upon Krishna is one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajati or localized Paramatam realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yogas are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about the Brahmagati and Paramatnam in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practices as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in the 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and the most important. The Lord therefore says, Aruna Tatram, or hear from me. No one can be greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity for progress in Krishna consciousness. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. Oh boy. Shivatam Swadkatman Krishna Punya Stravanya Kirtanya Hir Yantaso Hai Abarani Vidamati Surt Satam Nasta Prayas Avadstru Nitam Bhagavaga Sivaya Bhagavanti Uttama Slok Bhaktir Bhagavati Nashti Ki Tada Ras Tamo Bhava Nama Lo Habava Kaye Sita Etar Anavidham Shitan Shate Vasiddati. Uman Prashna Manaso Bhagava Bhakti Yogata Bhagava Tava Vinya Muta Sanyaga Giyati Bhavati Hidra Gantish Shyanti Sara Samsaya Kishantati Kasha Kamani Dishta Ivatan Swa. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita itself, out righteous activity. And for one who hears from Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as the best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge, and he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from other devotees. He becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes free from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga servers the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamyayan samagram, understanding the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness, one can understand the science of Krishna. Text 2. Yamanan te ham sa vinnanam idam baksi asata ya nava niha buyo naya nayayam asiyate. I shall now declare unto you in full knowledge, both phenomenal and nominal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world and the spirit behind it. The source of both of them is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the fourth chapter, his explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord, directly from the Lord of disciplic succession. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is cause of all causes and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practices. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas say, Yasmin ya nate sarvan eva ya natam bhavanti. Text 3. Manushanam sahashru kasid ya tati sihadi ya tatam api sidhaman kashin ma veti tavata. One of the many thousands among men, one of many endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection hardly know me in truth. There are various grades of men, and out of the many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal prosperities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. And hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and the discrimination of the self from the matter. However, Krishna can only be known by persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization, for this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Brahmatam. The yogis and the jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sirbadi Sankrakarya, has admitted in his Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, but his followers do not accept Krishna as such. For it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the causes of all causes, the primal Lord Govinda, Ishvara, Prama, Krishna, Sad, Amada, Vikara, Amadir, Adir, Govinda, Sara, Karana, Karam. It is very difficult for non devotees to know him. Although non devotees declare the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy, as a non devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so called path of bhakti, practiced by unauthorized persons without knowledge of bhakti, may be easy. But when it is practiced factually according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in the Bhakti Rasamanam Sidhu, Shruti Shrimti Puran Adi Pramarkata Vidnam Vinya Aki Kati Hara Bhaktir Aputavaya Kapati. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, Narvada, Bhaka, Karta, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahmaram realized impersonal list or the Brahmamatam realized yoga to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and son of the mother Yashoda, or the charioteer of Jaruna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused by Krishna. Muhanyanti yat suraya man tu vida no sa kasana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says. And if one does know him, then samataman sudurlaha, such as the great soul, is very rare. Therefore, unless one practices devotional service to the Lord, he cannot know Krishna as he is, even though one is a great scholar or philosopher. Only the pure devotees can know something of inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna. In the cause of all causes, in his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahma realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is Atashiram Navada Nam Bad Gayam Irada Seno Mukhi Hai Jodhavu Sanya Eva Sada Adan. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. I'll stop after text 4. Sound good? Boomer Apu Nalu Bayu Kam Mahu Butir Ivaka Akanakara Itayam Me Bina Paktir Ashtaha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called prati, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusa incarnations, and described in the Spavathatan Tatan. Vishnu Tir Rapani Purvyuan Ato Vidyu E Katam Mahatasar Divanyan Ana Samyutan Tritavan Sa Yubata San Tami Danana Vinyukati. For the material creation, Lord Krishna's plenty expansion assumes 3 venues. The first one, Maha Vishnu, creates the total material energy known as Mata Tattva. The second, Garubhashani, Vishnu enters into all the universe and create diversities in each of them. The third, Krishna Dasavi, Vishnu, is diffused as all pervading supersoul in the universe and is known as Paramatam, who is present even with the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. The material world is temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnus, expansions of Lord Krishna. These Purusas are also incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities and that the living entities are the causes, controllers and enjoyers of material energy. According to the Bhagavad Gita, this aesthetic conclusion is false. In this verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. I can't say that word. Manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of all the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord, even by the Bhamagati, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There is no spiritual diversities in the Brahmagati, as there are in the Bhakti-Utalagas, and the impersonalist accepts Brahmajati as the ultimate external goal. The Pramatam manifestation is also temporary, all persuasive aspect of Krishna's Dasi Vishnu. The Pramatam manifestation is not external in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth in the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person, and he possesses different, separated, and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestation are 8, as mentioned above. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the five gigantic creations of the gross creations. Within the five sense objects are included. There are manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other three items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by materialists. Philosophers who deal with the mental activities are also not perfect in the knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego I am and its mind, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called the Mahatava. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are subject of Shakya aesthetic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But the aesthetic Sanya philosophers with the poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna as described in the Bhagavad Gita.
Dominica, that was pretty impressive reading.
Trying to figure out how to stop sharing.
You know what's really interesting is that I watched this thing, I think it's on Netflix, and it was a series called Stitzel, which was about an ultra-Orthodox guy and family in Israel. And ultra-Orthodox men who are leading the blessed life are supposed to study Torah most of the time. And and there were a few shots of these guys sitting in a room and discussing minute little picayune, differences between, phrases or interpretations of phrases, and what one rabbi says about this phrase and what another says about this phrase. And this, especially Shloka 4, it's sort of like you could sit and discuss this for the next 2 weeks. And sometimes, well, I mean, I'm going to go back and read these over because there's a lot in these first 4, a lot. And it just seems like just reading through them is almost, it's reading the words out loud. I'm not sure what it does to your consciousness, without taking some effort to understand it. Really very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
In chapter 4 for sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here like, oh, whatever didn't absorb wasn't meant for me. I love the puffed up knowledge part though. Puffed up with knowledge.
Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh at that one.
Yeah.
Sue, I meant to ask you this earlier. What is this background? We see like a house. Is this a real picture?
Yeah. Yesterday I was messing around with a couple of friends on Zoom backgrounds, and I have a whole shitload of really old family pictures, mostly from my mom's side. And this is one of them. Let me see if I move.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Those are 3 of my mother's uncles. They're all dead now, but this is when they were kids. And I think this is a farmhouse in Chaffee. I'm not sure. Chaffee is a very small, it may not even exist as a town anymore, very small town in Western New York.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. But how
What-
fun you're looking through pictures like that.
Yeah, and scanning them. And
How
getting
old is that picture approximately?
this picture probably has to be, this is probably from 1925 or 26, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Because during, as the economy started collapsing and the Great Depression descended upon the world in the late 1920s, my grandfather lost everything and had to either lost or had to sell the farm in Chafee. I don't remember,
Aw.
but it was gone. So this photo was very precious to my mother because my mother was probably around 6 or 7 when he went really broke. And she has fond memories of before then and was very bitter about losing all of those things, the material things that we've been reading about. So that's what that picture is.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do some breath. Let's do our meditation.
Thank you, Dominica. That was you were walking uphill this morning.
Yeah, that
that
was
was hard.
really impressive.
Yeah.
I thought I did awful. I was like, this is terrible. It's Friday, right? So I'm like, okay, it's the last day that I can push with work and everything. I'm like pushing at full mode on Fridays.
Yeah, well, I think it was a terrific effort. I really do.
Thank you.
Really. Okay.
Pam, is Kramer awake? Somebody's asking about him.
He's not, but he's right here and he's sleeping.
Kramer.
Let's see.
Oh, see, he's sleeping. Oh,
He's like a little gopher coming out of his hole.
oh my goodness.
Look at
He's
him.
laughing.
Good night, Kramer. Enjoy your nap.
Thank you. See, thank you.
Did she like it?
Yeah, she's laughing.
Aw.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was a little cranky pot last night. Whining. I had to come and sit in here. Finally, he fell asleep.
Aw.
Maybe one night Isabella can read him a bedtime story over Zoom.
That's a good idea. Say thank you to Pam.
We have some Dr. Seuss books online. Yeah. All right, so let's do some alternate nostril breath. Maybe some bellows breath. It's Friday. I have my medical checkup at 10, so I need to be very well meditated so my white coat syndrome doesn't spike my blood pressure. So take some breath. Take some breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Then bring your right hand over to your face. Close the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Taking a few more rounds on your own breath. Finishing up the round you're on, exhaling out through the left side. If you want to join me with bellows breath, otherwise you can continue on. So for bellows breath, we're going to use the belly to pump the breath. We'll take an inhale in, complete exhale, inhale halfway. We'll go for 30. Exhale completely. Take a full inhale and apply the locks, the root, the belly, the chin. Release the locks, slowly exhale. Inhale halfway. Pump the belly. Exhale it all out. Full inhale. Apply the locks. Release the locks and slowly exhale. One more round. Inhale halfway. Exhale completely. Full inhale. Release the lock, slow exhale. And bring your thumbs to close over your ears. Your thumbs to close the ears, your peace fingers over the eyes. You'll inhale and exhale with the lips sealed, creating a buzzing sound at the back of the throat on the exhale. I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. You'll settle into your meditation your way. Join us when you're ready. Set your own timer if you need. Bringing hands to heart center. Namaste.